So after 5 games in the 2018-19 Premier League season, 2 teams have picked up 5 wins from 5. Maurizio Sarri's Chelsea and Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. Elsewhere in the league this weekend, Manchester City kept pace with the 2 leaders. Manchester United are very much back to winning ways under Jose Mourinho. 3 wins from 3 now for Unai Emery as Arsenal manager. And Tottenham, well, they're just Tottenham, aren't they? Hello guys, how are we getting on? You're very welcome back to my channel today, and you are very welcome back to another episode of The Verdict. Now, let's start off with the games on Saturday then, and it was an early kick-off at Wembley between Tottenham Hotspur and Liverpool. Now, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've seen the very best and the very worst of Tottenham Hotspur. Seen a Monday Night Football a couple of weeks ago where they obviously absolutely trashed Manchester United 3-0 at Old Trafford. The next week they went and lost at Vicarage Road to Watford, and them 2 weeks alone you could argue is typical Tottenham. More often than not though, in the past number of years, it was the other way around. Tottenham were losing to the big teams and obviously beating the teams they were expected to be beaten. But it was pretty much the opposite way around in the last couple of weeks. And then they faced off against Liverpool, obviously off the back of that defeat to Watford, which obviously would have been a crushing blow after they were on such a high after winning at Old Trafford. But yeah, they lost 2-1 to Liverpool at Wembley, and Tottenham were just pathetic. They were pathetic. Again, you could argue it's typical Tottenham. The Tottenham we've all come to know over the last few years, losing to the bigger teams and always claiming to be among the best teams in the league, but never having any silverware to show for it. And the way they played against Liverpool, they will not be getting silverware this season. Liverpool easily could have been 3-4-5 up by the time Tottenham scored. They were only 2 up though. They took the lead in the first half thanks to a goal which was given correctly by goal line technology, header by Gini Wijnaldum. Michel Vorm was the standing keeper today. Obviously they were missing Dele Alli as well. But yeah, Wijnaldum's header gave them the lead after some shocking defending from Tottenham from the set piece, it's fair to say. And Liverpool continued to batter them, and it wasn't until the start of the second half that they got their second. Roberto Firmino, who then had to go off with a horrific eye injury. Yeah, he got the second, an easy tap in for him, but again, suspect defending from Spurs. Really poor communication between Vertonghen and Vorm. Vorm gets caught out by the kind of spin of the ball. Crosses come in from Mane. Vertonghen sticks a leg out, it hits the post, and the spin on it just takes it away from Vorm. He can't get his hands on it, and Firmino has the simplest of tap-ins. And Liverpool, you could argue, could have been way out of sight and had this game wrapped up and all by the time Tottenham got their goal. It wasn't until deep into stoppage time where Spurs got their goal. Eric Lamela, some poor enough defending from Liverpool from the set piece, but it didn't prove to be too costly in the end. 2-1 is how it finished. Now, before kick-off in this game, I was looking at the Spurs team, and in that midfield, you've got Dembele, Dyer, Eriksen, and Harry Winks. 4 midfielders in a diamond who are ideally central midfielders, and that's where they played. But Maurizio Pochettino, I gave him a lot of praise after the United game, and rightly so at the time. But when you're playing against the team that has some of the best wide players in the league, You've got Salah on one wing, Mane on the other. Why is there no wide players in the Spurs midfield? You had Trippier and I think it was Rose as the fullbacks for Spurs, and they were being given no support at all. And if they had a Son, maybe a Lucas Moura on the wings, Eric Lamela got the goal, the Spurs goal. He could have been starting as well as a wide player. Okay, maybe he wouldn't have done the kind of tracking back that you'd expect Son and Lucas to do, but that was an option. Instead, he played that diamond and then Harry Kane up front with Lucas Moura. And Lucas Moura was the only player that looked like creating anything. I think Harry Kane was deep inside Virgil van Dijk's back pocket. I think Mauricio Pochettino, he approached the game in the totally wrong way. But I'm sure he knows that himself now. I'm sure he's reviewed the match back. But it's something for Spurs to look at. And the way they're playing, you can't see them getting silverware this season. And I know a few weeks ago I gave them so much praise after the United game, saying no reason why Spurs can't win the league. But I also said, can they keep it up? And they've let me down in the last 2 weeks. Proving everyone right, really, that they are quite possibly a bunch of bottle jobs. And it's nothing new for Spurs fans. I heard an interview from a Spurs fan on BBC Radio yesterday, and he reckons Spurs are miles off winning the league. And he doesn't even think that they're going to finish top 4 this season. Now, I wouldn't go to say that far, but yeah, maybe the lack of transfer business may prove to be an issue now. Obviously, the Champions League is kicking off tonight. Spurs are playing Inter Milan, so that strength and depth is going to become more and more important if Spurs are to progress further in that tournament. And as the FA Cup and Carabao Cup and all that comes back as well, squad depth is what Spurs need and don't have at the minute, I don't think. Liverpool are far the better side. Liverpool looking unbelievable at the minute. Not playing at their best even still, which is worrying for a lot of the top teams, including myself as a Chelsea supporter. They haven't even hit full stride yet, and they could have easily blitzed Spurs for 4 or 5 on Saturday, but they didn't. 2-1 is how it finished, but Liverpool 5 wins out of 5 and deserving of them. Moving on to the game at the John Smith Stadium then, and Huddersfield Town were defeated 1-0 by Crystal Palace. The one goal of the game, a spectacular individual effort by who else for Crystal Palace but Wilfried Zaha. The man is incredible, and the fact that they have managed to keep on to him is an absolute blessing. For as long as they have done. And yeah, his goal was the difference. He wasn't very happy after the game, as he hasn't been recently at all this season, with referees and their lack of showing defenders a card when it's very much necessary. There was one bad challenge, I'm not sure, it might have been Billing, the Huddersfield defender, but he kind of stamps down the side of Zaha's Achilles. Very painful one, for those who know. Yeah, he wasn't slow to come out after the game and criticise the referee, and criticise not only that referee, but a lot of referees so far this season, because in fairness, he maybe is getting a little bit of a raw deal. He's getting a lot of kickings and a lot of defenders aren't being punished for it, but he had the last laugh in the end. A fantastic goal, dribbled by 2 and then stuck it in, curled it in to the far top corner to give Crystal Palace a big away win. Business as usual then for Manchester City, and only for their 1-1 draw with Wolves, which was probably farcical a few weeks ago, as I've mentioned already a few times on this channel. They would be top with Liverpool and Chelsea, but they're not. But they're certainly keeping the pace up. They beat Fulham 3-0 at the Etihad on Saturday. Goals on the day from Leroy Sané, following a mistake. Fulham trying to play it out, trying to be a bit too clever and messing up. You can't make them kind of mistakes against the champions. Fernandinho wins it and squares it across the box, and Sané couldn't miss. David Silva soon made it 2-0 for Manchester City, and Raheem Sterling in the second half wrapped up a 3-0 win for Pep Guardiola's men. And to be fair, they have kept the pace, Man City. They haven't let that slip up at Molineux dampen their spirits. And for me, even though they're not top of the league and they still don't have a 100% record like Liverpool and Chelsea do, I still can't see anyone stopping Man City this season. I really can't. get some wind. I really can't see anyone stopping Man City this season. It will be interesting to see when Liverpool, in particular Liverpool, face Man City. That would be a clash of the Titans, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, Man City keeping the ball rolling and business as usual for the champions. So 3 wins in his last 3 Premier League games for Unai Emery and Arsenal, and it certainly does look as though things are perhaps starting to come together at last for him. Arsenal full value for their win at St James's Park against Newcastle. To be fair, it was kind of similar to the Liverpool-Spurs game. Arsenal could have had more, but it was a free kick from Granit Xhaka, a very good free kick from Granit Xhaka, which gave Arsenal the lead. Mesut Ozil, in his very first game at St James's Park, he was always ill or injured or didn't like travelling up to the north to play Newcastle, but it's obviously too far for him. But yeah, in his first appearance at St James's Park, he got the second goal for Arsenal, and then when Newcastle were chasing the game, they did grab one back through Kieran Clark, who was kind of just thrown up front for the last few minutes. But yeah, Newcastle were kind of forced to come out of their shell after going 2-0 down. And it was too little too late, unfortunately, for Rafa's men. As for Arsenal, things are starting to look up for them. They're playing better football, and I think fans have been very patient. And, you know, the viewing on Arsenal Fan TV, unfortunately, hasn't been as entertaining as usual. But, no, it's because Arsenal are playing well at the minute. And it'll just be interesting to see when they do. Obviously, they face City and Chelsea already. But when they face like the Liverpools, and the North London derby is going to be a big game against Spurs as well. Spurs have been poor enough as well. They actually have the same amount of defeats now as Arsenal. So yeah, I mean, things looking up for Arsenal. I think they can nearly take them first 2 games as a free hit. They would have fancied themselves to get something out of the game at Stamford Bridge, but they didn't. So yeah, things very much looking up for Arsenal fans. On to Chelsea then. We're top of the league. We're actually top of the league. We beat Cardiff 4-1 at Stamford Bridge on Saturday, 3 o'clock, and not without giving us all a bit of a fucking fright. They'd have to do that, wouldn't they? An early goal from Sol Bamba, a shot goal from Sol Bamba, gave Cardiff City the lead at Stamford Bridge, but the lead didn't last too long. Some good link-up play between Eden Hazard and Olivier Giroud resulted in Hazard finding the bottom corner to equalise. Hazard then made it 2-1 to Chelsea, and that is how it was at half-time. Second half begun then, Chelsea continued their dominance, easily had in around 76-77% possession for a majority of the game, and were rewarded for that with a third goal late on in the game when Willian was fouled by Sol Bamba in the box. A silly foul by Sol Bamba, really. It wasn't really as if Willian was going anywhere, but he fouls him, and Hazard rolls it in for only his second Chelsea hat-trick, and this man is on fucking fire at the minute. And Chelsea are just so lucky to still have him in the ranks. Maurizio Sarri said after the game that he could easily be the best player in Europe right now, but obviously he's not playing in the Champions League, so it'd be kind of hard to give him that title. But no, I'd have to agree with him. Hazard has been absolutely fantastic, and the win was wrapped up then when substitute Willian curled in a beautiful effort from about 20 yards into Etheridge's top corner, and 4-1 is how it finished, in Chelsea fully deserving of the 4-1 win. A bit annoyed that we didn't keep a clean sheet against Cardiff at Stamford Bridge, but you know, winning by 3 or 4 would have been the least I was expecting against Cardiff. And to be fair, Cardiff had their chances. Bobby Reid came probably closest for them, but you know, they were a little bit out of their depth in the end, and Chelsea won the game by 4-1. Now top over Liverpool by 1 goal, and I'm holding on to that. Look, it's great. 5 wins out of 5. Couldn't have asked for much more than that from Maurizio Sarri and the lads. I still don't think we're going to challenge for the title come the end of the season. I'm not going to be overly delusional. 5 wins out of 5 is obviously great, but I don't see us being able to challenge. I think we will lose against Liverpool, and we will lose against Manchester City. We may struggle against Spurs and United as well. Like, you think about it, we haven't really played too many great teams. Similar enough to Liverpool as well, but yeah, the best thing we've faced is Arsenal, to be honest with you. So obviously we got a big win away at Newcastle as well, which is something rare for Chelsea fans to experience. But I don't know, lads. I just can't see us putting in a proper title fight. If we finish top 4 this season and win the Europa League, I will consider that a successful season. But it's been a fantastic start. I think It's great to see the lads enjoying themselves. Maybe we are a little bit open at the back at times, but we are playing a far better brand of football than we were under Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte. And admittedly, under the previous two managers, it was a winning mentality. But, you know, every now and then the fans do want to see a manager that comes in and supplies, you know, a good brand of football which is entertaining to both watch and play in. And it does look like it is entertaining the Chelsea players. They do look like they're genuinely enjoying themselves out there at the minute. But yeah, 4-1 is how it finished, and Chelsea go top of the league for, I think, the first time this season. Maybe it's the first or second time, but it is only on goal difference, so I'm not counting me chickens just yet. Moving on to Bournemouth's game at the Vitality Stadium then. They beat Leicester 4-2, and were actually 4-0 up at one stage. Incredible stuff. Ryan Fraser was on the score sheet twice, before further goals from a penalty from Josh King, and then Adam Smith in the second half gave Bournemouth a 4-goal lead. But Leicester then got a penalty of their own, which James Maddison converted, and they made a little bit of a game of it come the end. Mark Albrighton got on the end of the cross to not at the end to make it 4-2, but that is how it finished. Bournemouth have made a flying start to the season, and I believe they're up to 5th now on the table, so, you know, props to Eddie Howe and Bournemouth. Very impressive so far. 2 goals in 4 first half minutes earned Manchester United a 2-1 victory over Watford at Vicarage Road. Watford's unbeaten and perfect start to the season is gone. So Romelu Lukaku got the first in the 35th minute, and then a couple of minutes later Chris Smalling got on the end of a free kick. A decent volley, but could have been better defended by Watford, to be fair. Manchester United then lost Nemanja Matic to a red card, which, you know, made things a bit shaky for them towards the finish or the end of the game. Andre Gray did pull one back for Watford and made the last few minutes very nervous for Jose Mourinho and the Manchester United fans, but United won it by 2-1. Big celebrations from Jose when the goals went in, and at full time as well. You know, he seemed very, very happy with them. But it looked more like a relief sort of thing more than anything else, because he was under a lot of pressure, especially following their defeat to Spurs. But no, United bounced back well, and I think the pressure is relieved from Jose Mourinho for the minute anyway. Everton were defeated by West Ham by 3-1. West Ham on Manuel Pellegrini's birthday get their first points of the new season. 2 goals from Andrei Yarmolenko put them into a 2-goal lead, his first 2 for the club. A brilliant header then by Gylfi Sigurdsson before half-time got Everton back into the game, so it seemed. But West Ham continued to dominate and soon got their third thanks to their main man, Marko Arnautovic. Where the fuck would they be without him? His goal made it 3-1, and that is how it's finished. Relief more than anything else for Pellegrini and West Ham. Big win, especially away at Goodison Park to Marco Silva's Everton. Moving on to Burnley then. Oh my god. Burnley are in an absolute shit show at the minute. They were defeated 1-0 by Wolves at Molineux, and it's got to the stage now where Burnley fans are going into the games expecting to lose. And it's a very, very different team from the one we've seen last season that qualified for Europe. It looks like a team with no confidence, a team that has nothing going forward, are shaky at the back. There just seems to be problems all around the park for Burnley at the minute, and the fans are getting a little bit restless. 1 goal from Raul Jimenez was the one that decided it on the day, and Wolves have their first win at Molineux of the season. Last game then of the weekend was a 2-2 draw between Southampton and Brighton at St Mary's on Monday Night Football. It was a very entertaining game, to say the least. Southampton rushed into a 2-goal lead. A brilliant strike from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg gave them the lead, and then a penalty from Danny Ings made it 2-0. And Southampton at this stage were absolutely battering Brighton, and you couldn't really see any way back into the game for Brighton. Though 2 minutes is all it lasted after Danny Ings scored the penalty for Shane Duffy to get on the end of a set piece to make it 2-1. And then a late penalty, very dramatic scenes. Shane Duffy was fouled in the box by James Ward-Prowse from a corner, and Glenn Murray, who else, stepped up to convert the decisive penalty. And a very good point for Brighton, and they showed a lot of, you know, grit and desire to get back into the game. And yeah, they deserved their point and got it. 2-2 is how it finished at St Mary's. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was match week 5. And my attention now turns to the Champions League, which starts tonight. The 2 games for 2 English teams playing tonight are Liverpool versus Paris Saint-Germain at Anfield, and Spurs are in Milan to face Inter in their opening games. Now, If you do want me to make verdicts on them, of course I will. The 2 Manchester clubs are on tomorrow night. The Champions League is the focus now. And as I said, I will make verdicts on them if you guys would like to see that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here. And I will catch you later.